Most people think they need motivation before they can take action. But here's the truth. Waiting for motivation is exactly why you're staying stuck. Let me show you. Most people think motivation is like a tank of gas. Once you fill it up, you're good for the whole day and it'll carry you through. But the reality is, it looks much more like this. Here's my little demonstration. Oops, almost going out there. It's a bright, big spark in the beginning, and it feels powerful for a moment, but it's going to fade quickly here. And under stress, it burns out even fast. So look at this, a little stress, and this burns out fast. If you really want to rely on the spark that'll carry you and not quit every time, you have to look for what's true, and that is action, real action. Habits, your identity, and the systems you create, those keep burning long after the flame of motivation is gone. Let's be honest, motivation feels great when it shows up. You feel unstoppable and you're on fire. But here's the problem. Motivation is just emotional fuel, and emotions don't last. They come and go. Think about brushing your teeth. Do you wait until you feel motivated and ready, or do you just do it because it's a habit? Motivation is inconsistent. It depends on your mood, your energy level, even how much sleep you got last night. And that's why if you rely on motivation to get you started and get you going, you're always going to be at the mercy of your feelings. The truth is, motivation isn't the starter, it's the result. So why do we believe the opposite? Why do we think we need motivation first? Because sometimes we actually are motivated first, and it does happen. Think about the fear you have when a bear is chasing you. That fear is getting you to be motivated, right? The feeling of fear. What about when you're hungry and you're really starving? You get motivated to eat. And anger can get you motivated to drive. So in survival and emergencies, feelings come first and they drive our actions. And that's our old ancient brain with its wiring affecting our nervous system and the way we think. But here's what most people miss. When it comes to growth and goals and long-term visions and things that you want, the pattern flips. So survival and emergencies leads to feelings first and then actions. When you're looking at growth and long-term goals, actions first lead to the feelings. That means if you're waiting for the feelings to drive you and get you motivated, you'll never build consistency. You'll always have that inconsistency happening to you. But if you start with action first, the feelings will catch up. Maybe not immediately, but eventually they will. That's why people say the hardest part is starting. Once you begin, your own brain starts helping you to keep going. I remember a student I was coaching, and she kept saying, I'll start when I'm ready, I'll start when I'm prepared. But she was waiting for the spark, and that spark never came. And when I said, let's just break down what you need to do to the simplest, smallest form, just a 5-minute little task. And once she started that, something shifted. She started building momentum and getting going. And that's when it hit me, because she ended up working for the whole hour. And it hit me was that you might run from a bear. That might motivate you to get going there, right? But it won't help you build a business, finish a book, or do some kind of long-term goal that you want. Action had to come first. Let's go a little deeper. Why does it feel like motivation should come first, even though it doesn't? Because something called the negativity bias. The brain weighs negative experiences 2 to 3 times stronger than positive ones. So those vivid memories you have of fear, of pain, it sparks us into action, and we remember those. You remember the time when everything was going terrible and you were stressed out and you took action. Those moments are just baked into our memory. But the countless times that you took action and it created motivation, they were so small, so subtle, you didn't even realize them. And what happened is they slipped by unnoticed to you. Think about it. You drag yourself to the gym, and after 5 minutes, you feel energized and you're staying the whole hour. You wash one dish, and soon your whole kitchen is cleaned up. You type one awkward, incomplete sentence, and before you know it, you're in the flow and you're typing and you're getting your paper done. You didn't feel like talking, but you answered the phone, and 10 minutes into your conversation, you're laughing and having a good time. I'll be honest, there are days when I feel zero motivation to take a walk or ride my exercise bike. And I'll start actually negotiating with myself. Well, maybe I can do it a little bit later. Oh, I had a busy day, I can do it tomorrow. I just do all this kind of stuff. But what I've noticed is that once I start, I just say, hey, I'm going to take one lap around the track, or I'm going to ride the bike for just 2 minutes, whatever it might be, then something starts changing, something starts happening, and I end up walking a mile, walking 2 miles, riding the bike for 45 minutes. And it reminds me every time that the action I took created the motivation, and it sustained the motivation. Those are real powerful moments, but because they feel so ordinary, we forget them. Meanwhile, the big emotional jolts, the fear, the urgency, the deadlines we have to meet, those dominate our memory. So our brains have it all backward, and they help us remember things backwards. And what they tell us is that feelings create action, when in reality, action creates the feelings. It's not just our biology. The culture reinforces this belief too. When you watch a movie, there's going to be the hero and they have some crisis or turning point, and it's always met with some big decision, some big clear thing that happens, and that is what gets them motivated. That's what drives the action. And it always starts with some kind of fireworks, some kind of big incident. And in school, we were taught that you just need to try harder and use your willpower. And willpower is the only fuel you need. Nobody taught us about the power of systems and how when you have systems working for you, that's going to override your mood. Or the impact of environment on you. Your environment impacts you in a magnificent way. Both systems and the environment are way more powerful than your mood and your emotions. Yet the billion-dollar industries of self-help and personal development, they profit from this illusion that you need to be motivated before you take action. And if you believe that motivation comes first, you'll buy the next course, the next supplement, or the next pep talk. The illusion even feels safe, because if you need to be motivated before you start, then you've got a valid excuse. I'll start when I feel ready. It protects your ego and your self-esteem from failure, but at the cost of your progress. And here's the truth. Moods are like the weather. They change constantly. Systems and environments are like architecture and structures. They're steady and reliable. If you want consistency, stop asking, do I feel like it? And instead, start building structures that make the right choice much easier. Here's some examples. You could have, for your fitness, you could lay out your gym clothes the night before. Better yet, you could schedule a workout with a friend who's waiting for you, and it's going to build that urgency and that pattern for you to show up. For nutrition, you could have junk food on the counter, or you could have fruits and vegetables on the counter. At your work, you could set a timer, you could clean your desk, you could leave your phone in another room. There's different things you could do structurally in the environment to help you. With your finances, you could automate your savings so the decisions are made before your mood ever shows up. And there's been lots of examples where people who automated their savings by putting so much money a month did so much better than those who said, I'm going to get around to it. And 1 year went by, 2 years went by, 3 years went by, a decade goes by, and they never got around to it. I have around 2,000 quotes that I've done and put on Facebook. And a lot of times those come to me easy and it's just boom, there I go. But other times it's really a struggle. And I'll put something out there in my drafts and it's terrible. And I know it's terrible. But I can't get better unless I start. And what I've noticed is if I write something, then an idea comes in my head or another thing, or I think, oh, I could tweak it this way, or what about that? And soon I have something that I feel real proud of. But it didn't happen because I felt like writing a quote. What happened was because I made a commitment, because I have a system where I write in my notebooks, where I write the stuff all the time, then it just starts coming to me because I made the commitment to take the action and write a quote, even if at first it's pretty crappy, because eventually it's going to get better. So when systems and environments are in place, action happens whether you feel like it or not, and once you act, the feeling starts following and your quality of work can go up. Now, let's ground this in science. Neuroscience shows that action itself can fire up dopamine circuits in your brain. And dopamine isn't just a pleasure chemical, it's the motivation signal. When you start moving, dopamine rises and it carries you further. Habit research shows the same thing. In a 2009 study, it showed that people reach plateaus of habit strength in about 66 days. I know there's a lot of people that say 3 weeks or 21 days, but the latest research shows 66 days. In other words, just keep showing up for 66 days on average. It depends on the thing. Some habits take longer, but if you keep showing up, the action will become automatic. And here's something fascinating, but I hope I don't butcher these names too bad. The Zeigarnik effect and the Ofsina-Kina effect. And what these people discovered is that humans remember unfinished tasks better than finished ones. So think about that for yourself. Are there things that you know, oh, I started and I haven't finished those, something I started last week or yesterday? You're going to remember that more than all the things you did start and complete. And they also found that once you start something, you feel pulled back to finish it. It's like in advertising and marketing when they create open loops, and in stories when they create something and they don't tell you the whole thing and you want to keep going because you want to finish it, you want completion. So the brain literally creates tension that pushes you back into action. And this means the hardest part isn't the work, it's the start. Once you begin, your own psychology begins to work for you because it wants to see that completed. So how do we break through the inertia, the tendency to stay at rest? What do? Well, here are 5 things you can do immediately. Number 1 is the 5-minute rule. Tell yourself that I'm going to start in 5 minutes or less. Because most of the time, if you start, you're going to keep going. Even if you stop, you've won because now you've broken inertia. You've broken yourself resting and not doing it. Number 2, you can do the smallest thing possible. Want to exercise? Just put on your shoes. Want to write? Just type 1 sentence. What is the smallest step that you can do that will not be overwhelming, that would be easy to do? Because it's most likely that if you start doing something, like if you just take 1 step, you're likely to take 2 steps and then 3 steps. But if you look and say, oh, I need to go 5 miles, you're probably going to shut down and stop. But if you just took 1 step or 1 thing, so here it's just take it to the smallest thing possible and then do it. Number 3, use techniques like the Zeigarnik effect and start something, even something small. And even if you only get it partly started, your brain will itch for you to finish that and close that loop. Number 4, change your environment. move to a new spot, clear your desk, set a timer. Have your environment work in your favor, helping you. So change the stuff off your counter. Set things up so that it's going to work for you. Number 5 is identity reframe. Stop asking, do I feel motivated? And instead ask, what would the person I'd want to be do right now? One of my mentors, Jim Cathcart, says, how would the person I'd like to be do the thing I'm about to do? That question is powerful because it takes you out of your mood and into your identity. You stop asking, like, am I tired? Do I feel like it? And you start working from the version of yourself that you're acting like the person you want to become. And when you start acting from your identity, motivation follows naturally. So let's bring it all home. Motivation doesn't lead to action. Action leads to motivation. The belief that you need to feel motivated first has held back and limited countless numbers of people, and it's given them a built-in excuse to delay, to wait, to protect their fragile egos at the cost of their dreams and what they really truly want. But the reality is very simple. Once you start, your brain, your habits, your identity, they all start working in your favor. But as Don Shula said, the start is what stops most people. So here's my challenge to you. Right after this video, pick one thing that you've been putting off that's important to you and you want to do. Shrink it down, make it just something that you can do for 5 minutes, the smallest possible thing. Then come back and tell me in the comments what happened. You don't have to wait for the match to strike. You don't need motivation, you need movement. Because action creates motivation and momentum creates results. If you'd like help on any of this, you can send me an email at brian@infinityshiftssystem.com. That's brian@infinityshiftssystem.com. I look forward to hearing an email from you or a comment in the comment section. All the best to you. Have a great day.